first instinct. What do you mean a bird?
Yeah.
Back when the YouTube was awesome.
Yeah, YouTube used to be way cooler. YouTube sucks now. I mean, there's some cool stuff on YouTube,
Yeah.
like Vic Berger and
People don't.
Wizard People Do Reader.
People today don't understand what a fucking hive
These
old
kids-
YouTube was of just quality. It wasn't trash. It wasn't stuff like that was insidious, like meant to like exploit the algorithm to like show suicide like training
wasn't-
videos to your kids. It was just people making really funny YouTube poops.
I'm Scott,
I'm Ben.
and this is a review. On today's episode, which is episode 60, we'll be reviewing Captain Marvel. That's right, soy boys, get ready, because we're reviewing the feminist hit of 2019. Captain Marvel combines Top Gun and Memento, I guess? I don't know. Ben, what'd you think about Captain Marvel?
I think it's Top Gun and Man of Steel.
Man of Steel?
Yeah.
A little splash of Memento, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Splash.
Yeah. The fragmented
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, it's fine.
It's good.
It's good.
I liked it.
It's good.
I'm going to say I liked it, in fact. But, you know, we do have to talk about this controversy that's been surrounding this movie. And it seems like whenever a movie starring women comes out, there's a big controversy. So you have to start there, of just kind of looking at that as a trend, of being like, you can't deny that it has something to do with the fact that they're women. Because every time they're like, no, it's about this. It's not about the fact that they're women and we're intimidated by them. So what happened here is during the press junket, Brie Larson made a quote, which we're going to read directly here.
Should I do it in my, should I give the folks a preview of the voice?
Oh, yeah, that's not a thing. Don't worry about that.
Oh.
Shh. Yeah, we'll read the quote. Yeah, so Brie Larson at a press junket said,
About a year ago,
well,
about a year ago, I started paying attention to what my press days looked like and the critics reviewing movies, and noticed it appeared to be overwhelmingly white male.
stop. That's where everyone stopped.
Correct.
All the white males reading this stopped and got out their pitchforks and torches and said, no, ma'am, you will not degrade the white male again. We have been oppressed in this country for generations and years. This has been going on. They are taking this statement, which they didn't finish, which I will let you finish, and running with it out the door and being like, we're under attack by the people who are actually under attack in this country, by them, by these people.
Yeah,
Okay.
The irony is
Astounding.
Awesome.
Okay, so don't forget to talk into the mic when you read that.
For sure. So, I spoke to Dr. Stacy Smith at the USC Annenberg Inclusion Initiative, who put together a study to confirm that. Moving forward, I decided to make sure my press days were more inclusive. After speaking with you, this is Kea Brown, a journalist who is a woman of color with cerebral palsy, the film critic Valerie Complex, and a few other women of color, it sounded like across the board they weren't getting the same opportunities as others. When I talked to the facilities that weren't providing it, they all had different excuses.
Right. So, okay. Once again, all she's saying is there's not as many opportunities for other people to get into these junkets. And the end result was, oh, she's just a racist and a sexist. You're a dumb, stupid person if you think that wanting inclusion is racist or sexist.
Especially in, like, obviously, like, the Me Too stuff has elaborated and sort of brought this to light, but, like, there is a long-standing history. People who aren't in film or trying to get into film don't understand this, but this has long been a very exclusionary industry and still is. So, like,
Right.
a lot of the stuff that they're talking about is stuff like for the first time now that film has been basically like the mainstream, like, public art export for 100 years now.
Right.
Like, we need to start opening the doors up to more people. Like, it's just the natural progression of things.
Yeah, and like we've cried out against movies being praised for being something they're not before, and this isn't one of those cases where like the movie doesn't really have that much to do with this stuff. It's like
No.
This thing that she's talking about is more of an issue than the movie itself. You know what I mean? The other funny thing is I keep seeing a lot of people comparing this to Wonder Woman. These movies are nothing alike.
They're very dissimilar. I mean, the only real parallels, and they're the most broad strokes. You have hyper overpowered
comic book
woman.
Yes.
Period piece. That's it.
Yes. One is like
what, but they're completely different. One's set during World War I, one's set during the 90s. So you like period piece barely even qualifies because they're set in so radically different. It's not like they're both set in like the antiquated times. One's still set in modern day. Right. So it's like, who gives a shit?
Captain Marvel is barely set in the 90s.
Yeah,
like,
it's like the mid-90s.
The only thing that's really makes it a period piece is Samuel Jackson.
D8 Sam Jackson, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only reason that it's in the 90s. It's not like... So anyways, all that stuff is stupid. That's all we're trying to say is this controversy surrounding this movie is complete nonsense. Yeah. And just get your heads out of your asses, people. Like, come on now. So... let's talk about the actual movie proper, because it's been 10 minutes of this. So yeah, Captain Marvel stars Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, another superhero with a really stupid name, like Wonder Woman or Shazam. Let's talk about they're all dumb names.
Who used to be Captain Marvel?
Who used to be Captain, yeah. Anyways, that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, what you have here is Captain Marvel is a Kree soldier, and she's on a battle mission to eliminate the Skrulls, which are a race of shape-shifting alien Gugas, and who are led by Ben Mendelsohn, our favorite villain of every movie ever.
Yes.
And so they have this kind of great setup, which is, I think, a really phenomenally shot science fiction space scene. Like, I loved all the missions they were going on, and like the training, and like the setup was pretty neat to this movie, right?
Yeah, you definitely get like those Guardians vibes, like when you saw what's the planet, like the main one,
Hala, I don't know.
Yeah, they're on Hala, which is very similar to the main one they're on in Guardians of the Galaxy. There's a lot of like Guardians, Cosmic City, Metropolis vibes going on here. So I think they even have the same font of like the locations. From Guardians.
There's definitely an aesthetic similarity between that, which is nice.
So like with some of the narrative stuff early on, you're kind of like you're thrust right in. I mean, this is like what, the 20th Marvel movie,
something like that.
It's like the fourth one, like explicitly like in space.
Yeah, well, there's no like they just throw you right into this thing. And it is definitely jarring for a while because you're with the character. Like Captain Marvel, Brie Larson also doesn't know what the fuck is going on. It's like she thinks she's a space warrior, but she's got memories of Earth. But she's being told that could be implants from the enemy soldiers. So there's like that whole element going on, like this whole kind of like Westworld thing going on, where you don't really know what's real or what's not. And I don't know a lot about this character. So I guess if you've read the comics, she is obviously from Earth. She's a human being. Outside the fact that she's like one of the only white Kree. Can we talk about this for a minute? The Kree, how they're all blue. Except for Jude Law and Damon Hansu or whatever.
Yeah.
Why are they the two Kree that aren't blue?
It's really weird. I never quite got the like what constitutes a Kree.
Well, they're mostly
blue, but like that. But then there's also like
some of them are white.
Yeah,
some of them are just like regular
people looking. Yeah, it's odd.
Both Damon Hansu and Jude Law both have like cat eyes, right?
Yeah, they have like yellow irises or something.
Yeah. So like, but I don't know if the other Kree do or not. But like there are all races of actors in blue makeup as Kree, so it's not like, so that's the weird thing to me. It's just like you see some people that are like, okay, I know, okay, whatever, it's fine. It's a little weird, but Jude Law is like the commander or whatever, or he's like the captain of this squad, of this like elite Kree squad of badasses, and they kind of set up that they gave Brie Larson, Captain Marvel, her superpowers, right? And I think one of the neat things in this movie is as it kind of unravels, as you find out who the Kree soldiers really are. You find out who she really is. You find out who the Skrulls really are. And it's like all these little perception twists as you go along. Everything you thought was true is actually something else. And I thought that was kind of a neat little through line they had throughout the movie, going with all the characters.
Yeah, like, and narratively too, I think this is the first Marvel hero who doesn't really like know what their origin is. Like we kind of get like the origin is like fed back to us as she's learning.
Exactly.
So it's a neat narrative twist. Like people like, you know, say all the Marvel's movies are the same. You know, that's kind of like one of the criticisms. But
Right.
this is clearly a different approach to an origin story that they've done, because I think they've been listening to some of the criticisms of something like Doctor Strange, where it is basically like an Iron Man riff. This is explicitly trying to do something different. So like you have to give it props.
And I thought that was the neat thing about this whole movie, was it felt pretty like it was doing its own thing, but in that similar framework and tone anyways, but it's still kind of like doing its own story. Like it wasn't the most high stakes, end of the world story like it always is in these movies. This was a lot more pulled back, and like it was still big stakes, obviously. Lives were at stake, but like it was a lot more like, I don't know, tactical, or like it was a lot more like a war was playing out. You know what I mean? Like there was an actual like two sides. I don't know. There was like a lot of interesting elements at play here for me.
And it never, which is it sort of feeds into like probably my biggest criticism of the movie.
Yeah.
Is she's Captain Marvel or Carol Danvers is such a focal point of the movie. This is her story through and through. Like she's basically in every scene. But the performance and the character is kind of like the least interesting part.
Yeah.
And portrayal of in the movie.
It's a little flat.
Yeah.
The thing is with Brie Larson, I think she's a great actor, Academy Award winner.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I don't feel like there was a super clear direction for what her character should be, other than very headstrong and confident. You know what I mean? Like that was obviously like very baked into her character, that she was very like, she's just gonna go for it. She couldn't knock her down. She was always gonna stand back up, and you know, maybe that's enough. But yeah, I felt like there was, because you know, I think that's kind of goes back into the structure of this movie, having her start off as a soldier in the middle of her journey, and it's like because she's been basically brainwashed or whatever, you're not getting the whole character. You're not getting her character development until later in the movie, and then you get her character development through other characters reminding her like, no, this is who you are. You're not this. So like part of it is that she's kind of coming to terms with who she really is, and a lot of this movie is her waking up and figuring that out. So I think that's part of it, is that it's a little bit of an awkward space for this character to be in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's definitely at least partially by design.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where you have like in the same breath, you have even like in like Spider-Man in Civil War, Black Panther in Civil War. They're very supporting characters, but I think you still got a lot more of like who they were as
true, but
like,
also like
in
that
smaller
was
roles.
only introducing who they were, and this was like introducing her and her powers and this whole like galactic. I don't know. It's just like I said, like the way it starts, because she's forgotten who she is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like how can you have a character that you know who they are if they don't know who they are? And that's like a big theme of this movie, is her trying to discover who she is and coming to terms with that. So I mean, like, I think once again that's kind of like by design, but it is like obviously in the like it's a criticism that's I've heard a lot of people saying that, but it's like for me it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
or like it doesn't like take me out of the movie too much, but I agree that like you would like more of her.
Like for me, like it certainly picked up a lot more once we started like getting into like her trajectory. Once she started getting her shit figured out, and once they're sort of like the mystery starts to unravel, and, you know, I just think that the second and third acts really kind of take off, and like I think the third act is pretty sweet. The whole once she becomes OG.
What was the name of her friend, the actress that played her friend? on Earth.
Lashana Lynch.
Yes.
She was really good.
Yeah, and I thought once she got into the picture, her and her daughter, they really kind of made you realize who this character is. They kind of brought a lot of that character out of her. But I mean, like, you know, it's also that kind of like grungy, badass girl kind of thing, which like that's, you know, she is that character even when she doesn't know it. You know what I mean? It's like in there, but she's kind of like figuring it out, which I like that. So yeah, you know, they're going after the Skrulls. They end up on Earth, meet Samuel Jackson, Nick Fury. Gotta say, he's probably one of my favorite parts of this movie. Samuel Jackson never is bad, but like the de-aging, the makeup and CGI it's flawless. Like you cannot just. It looks like an old Samuel Jackson movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's absolutely just like seamless.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. He looks like how he looked like in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, he looks
like he has the same face. It's the same like softening of the features. It's all.
He looked like, to me, it was Jurassic Park. It was Jurassic Park Sam Jackson.
100%.
Like, all the way. Yeah.
It looked like early 90s Sam Jackson.
Yeah, which is like, wow, like what a neat way of like kind of setting this in reality a little bit more. But like, I don't know, it just really, that, you got Clark Gregg is de-aged as well, which honestly, he doesn't look that old now. It's just like, he just looks like he had a bad hairpiece on. Like, it didn't do much to him. You have Lee Pace, who played Ronan the Accuser in Guardians of the Galaxy, who shows up in here as kind of a cameo. But what I liked about Damien Hansu, obviously, was also in Guardians. What I liked about all these kind of characters popping up is they felt organic to the plot in a way that like Ronan wasn't super necessary to the plot. They didn't need him in there. But like having this whole Kree conflict, and he is like the commander of the Kree army or whatever, and having him kind of like showing the beginning of where he would get to by the Guardian stage, and kind of peppering in these little details, it really kind of bolsters this already amazing universe and gives you like a lot of world building, which I appreciate.
Absolutely. No, it definitely gives, you know, between this and like the two Guardians movies and like Ragnarok, you really start to get a sense of like the entire makeup of the space side and like how much more of a world there is that most of the Marvel movies really haven't even touched on. Like, that's what really got me excited of like, how far can they go? I mean, obviously like, in Infinity War, they were doing a lot of like intergalactic planet hopping and stuff. Like, but imagine like there's this whole side that they've only done that for like half a movie,
right?
Outside of the Guardians and Thor movies, like we have a whole new sort of quadrant we can do of like all the space forces and the Kree and like all this intergalactic, like bringing like Galactus and shit in and all that kind of stuff.
And it's already been like they've already started setting up a lot of the stuff in Guardians, so kind of building on that more. It's like, okay, now I get it. I kind of understand the power structures here, and I understand like how this all functions to a certain degree. So they're able to kind of play around with it more. But yeah, so, you know, going on with the movie itself, there's a really great turn with the Skrulls, like we were saying, and that opens up a whole new door in the universe that they could do. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to spoil it too much, but, you know, it's not a huge twist, but it is interesting. And it allows for Ben Mendelsohn to really stretch out his range as an actor. Like, he gets to do a lot of stuff. I mean, he gets to be serious, angry villain. He gets to be, like, kind of sympathetic at some point. He gets to be really funny and, like, a comic relief character. Like, I loved him in this movie. I thought he was phenomenal.
Steals the show. I think him and Sam Jackson, like...
And Goose.
And Goose, yes.
We'll
everyone, Goose. America's new fave animal, yeah.
Yeah, Goose Well, we'll avoid spoiling what Goose is. He's a cat. He's a cat with a little bit of a special purpose.
Yeah. You've heard of a dog's purpose. Goose got a cat's purpose.
Yeah.
Inside the Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah, and that's great. I know that's part of the comics, and the thing that we're talking about is more of a newer thing in the comics, but it's still really fun. It adds for some really neat little set pieces, I'll say. And yeah, overall, you've got this movie. I think it's just got a lot in it. It's jam packed with stuff. I mean, you've got Annette Bening playing the Central Intelligence, which is like this weird collective AI, or the Supreme
Intelligence.
Supreme Intelligence was what it was called. Yeah. And the way they explain how it was like somebody from your past that like manifests itself to you, and I like the way they kind of had this going on with the whole thing. I liked her performance within this thing, and I don't know, I liked a lot of the stuff that they had in this movie.
Oh yeah, and they kind of she also plays in, again, don't want to spoil too much, but like she sort of feeds into back to like the OG
a lot of the OG
lore.
Marvel movies.
Yeah,
they're building on their own lore a lot here in a pretty strong way, I would say.
Yeah, it fills in the gaps, I think, like, you know, because this and Captain America obviously share a special significance because they're the
DNA,
two,
yeah.
you know, period pieces of the Marvel.
And they're both kind of like
movies.
the two de facto kind of traditional leaders of Avengers. Like, he's the original, and like she's kind of like newer Avengers leader. So yeah, there's like kind of like that passing of the torch idea there too. And yeah, I mean, like, once again, I don't want to act like the big Marvel fanboy gushing guys like all the time, but like, I like these movies. And I know a lot of people out there are tired of Marvel movies. They're like, oh, when are they going to be done? They've made like 20 movies. They made like 1,000 Westerns. This is the thing right now. People like comic book movies. Let people have the thing they like. I like the artsy movies too. I love Velvet Buzzsaw. I like things that are weird and up their own ass. We can like the crazy comic book stuff too. And all these people that are out here discrediting these movies, I feel like aren't seeing this bigger picture of like how they've managed to pull all this stuff together in such a cool way and a fun way. And, you know, if you don't like them, you don't like them, but just stop being an asshole about it.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that other people can't also like them.
So
Just because it's not your cup of tea doesn't mean it's not obviously a lot of other people's cup of tea.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is that if you are sick of these movies, don't watch this. It's not for you. But if you love these movies, this is for you because it is taking a lot of the elements that you're familiar with and adding them in. But it's like, if you are one of those people that hates Iron Man 2 because its only credit is to build to the Avengers, then you're going to hate this too because, yeah, this is building to another Avengers movie. But that's what these movies are about. They're about setting things up and then paying it off. That's what a movie is supposed to be. It's entertainment. That's the point. So having it on this larger scale, I think, is fucking cool. If you don't think so, then stop watching and stop complaining and your life will be much better. So that being said, we do have some flaws with this movie. Like you said, even though I think it is kind of by design, Brie Larson is kind of flat. Mm-hmm. And they definitely are guilty of some solo level, what do you call it?
This is how this happened.
Yeah. And I hate that in movies. Okay, number one, we won't say what the thing is necessarily, or like how it happens, but we will explain, or we will say that Samuel Jackson's eye is a thing they explain in this movie. Mm-hmm. I was fine with that.
Yeah.
That was funny to me, that it was kind of a running gag, and the payoff at the end was good. I'm fine with that one. Mm-hmm. The Avengers one was the one that pissed me off. At the very end, you know what I mean? Of like, it didn't even piss me off, but like, it was like, it was real cringy, eye-rolly.
It was very shoehorny.
Yeah.
Like, it was very DC.
Yes.
It was very Batman v Superman.
I'll spoil this one. Even this is like the final shot of the movie. I don't care. Basically, Samuel Jackson is like thinking about making a list of like, well, I wonder if there's other superheroes out there. And then he's got this stupid name, something protocol.
The Protector Initiative.
Protector Initiative. And then he sees a picture of Brie Larson's like fighter jet, and it has like the Avenger on it. And you see Samuel Jackson like, oh, I wonder. You see him erase the other word. But me and TJ were talking about this, because TJ watched it too with us, who unfortunately couldn't be for the review. But I was like, it would have been perfect if they would have done that, and then it would have cut back, and it would have said, like, the Defender Initiative or something. Like, it completely just fell on its face. Like, yeah, not quite, but I'll get there. Like, but yeah, there was a few other little moments like that I thought were just a little embarrassing.
Yeah. We get an explanation. The pager is another one.
Well, yeah, that was like an unnecessary one, I thought. That like, you know, they had the pager at the post credit scene in Infinity War. Of course, Samuel Jackson is like paging people throughout this movie. It's like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you didn't need to do it, but you also kind of did.
But it also gives us one of the more buzzy, like, oh, hell yeah, Marvel mid-credit scenes in a while.
Well, true. Well, true. That's also. But yeah. Also, I'd say there's just some pretty cringy dialogue in this movie sometimes. There's just some random, really, like, flubby lines that don't really play. I thought Jude Law was kind of wonky.
Yes, his character, you never really get a firm grasp on, like, what his entire deal is.
Yeah, because, like, he is kind like, you know, obviously there's a turn with his character where he's kind of a bad dude. I won't say why, but there's a certain point where Ronan is, like, demanding where the scrolls went, and he knows where they are, and he deliberately doesn't tell him. He's like, I don't know, they escaped. And he hangs up, and he's like, look, Ronan's crazy. He's just going to blow up that entire planet if he knows where they are to get rid of the scrolls. So he's like, so Jude Law is, like, sort of evil, but there's a degree, which once again, there was a complexity to these characters where it was like he wasn't evil enough to genocide an entire planet. Which I feel like a lot of the times in these movies, the villains are very, like, black and white. It's like, they're either good or they're evil. And it's like, if they're evil, they'll kill everybody. There's no, like, limit to how evil they are.
Yeah, like the Steppenwolf.
Yes. So at least he had a limit to how evil he was. So yeah, that was nice. And overall, I really enjoyed this movie. And I think we're probably ready for final thoughts.
Yeah.
So Ben, final thoughts on Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. It's good. I liked a lot of the space stuff, a lot of the lore that they build, and the expansion of the MCU and sort of tying it all together, I think, is the strongest stuff of the movie. I really dug. It took a little while for me to get into it, but once you start really getting a sense of who Carol Danvers is, like, as a person, and, like, settling into herself again and kind of revealing what's going on with her, the movie really takes off, and I think it really lands and, like, kind of finishes on a really, really strong note. You know, some of the space stuff, CGI, great. Cool world. Yeah. But I'd say, you know, it's not like amazing Marvel movie. Like, it's not like Guardians or Infinity War or Winter Soldier or anything like that. But it's also definitely not, like a lot of people are saying, like Thor 2, or it's not bottom tier either. I'd say middle of the probably, like, top 15 Marvel movie. I would say solid 7.5 out of 10. Definitely worth the watch. Sets up Endgame. Fuck yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I agree with you, because I feel like we've been gushing about this, or I've especially been gushing about this movie, a lot of this review, because I really, you know, I saw this on opening night. I really dug the hell out of it. I was excited. I thought it had a really interesting and complex story, which is, you know, some of these movies do, but I thought this one really did have a nice arc for all these characters, and I really like what they did with it. That being said, you're right in the sense that it doesn't floor you at any point with, like, there's no, I think it's lacking a little bit of its own personality, which I remember watching it and kind of being like, oh, this is kind of like Guardians, like, vibe, but it's kind of taking it's a little bit more grounded, you know, it's not as jokey. And then it was kind of jokey, so it was kind of like, all right, you know. So tonally, I thought it was a little wonky, but overall, I really liked all the performances. Brie Larson is a little flat, and so is Jude Law, but other than that, I thought everyone was really great, and I'm really excited to see what happens next. So I'd have to give it, you know what, I'm going to copy you. I'm going to be right there at a 7.5. 7.5 giant missiles out of 10.
There you go.
I will say, on the complaint side of things, you know, we're talking about when she's fully unleashed her powers at the end, which is great. It's a great moment where you see her really, like, there's a great moment where you know she's about to kick everyone's ass. And then she kind of, oh, I can fly. She started instantly figuring out all this shit. And then it, for me, just leaped a little bit too far to, like, oh, now she's flying in space and punching through missiles. And I'm like, all right, this is badass, but it's just, like, a little bit too much all at once.
Yeah.
Like it ramped up very quickly.
Could have been a little more graduated out.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, this has been our Disney sponsored review of Captain Marvel. We'll be expecting big paychecks in the mail as soon as, I don't know,
those box office receipts get all counted up because this
Yeah.
thing is making bank.
I wish we were getting paid by somebody. This show, this is some inside baseball for you guys. Is like we basically pay to do this show.
Yeah.
We're not getting paid to do this.
This costs us money.
Now, not a lot of money. The cost is pretty low.
Yeah.
Granted, but like I paid to see this movie this week, so like that's
Yeah. So did I.
That's not. I don't know. Why are we doing this, Ben?
Hey, because we like talking about movies and we like sharing our thoughts with people, and it seems, based on our play counts, there's at least enough people that give a shit about what we say about movies. So
Well, hey, if you're one of those people,
we appreciate you.
we appreciate you.
Yeah,
And,
we've never really had a thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
'cause
you for listening.
There's enough of you.
Well, I say thank you for listening at every episode, but that's
That's
kind
true.
of it's not really sincere. I
Yeah,
don't really mean it.
we really do mean this though.
Yeah, this is sincere.
Yeah,
It totally is. Thank you for listening. If you are listening, let us know in the comments that you're listening. Be like, hey, I'm listening and I like you guys. Hashtag me too. I listened to your review. That's the hashtag.
I listened to your review too.
No, hashtag me too. I listened to your review. It has to be the whole thing.
Okay.
Because this is a feminist movie. Also, nothing about this movie. I read an article about this somewhere. It's like the least feminine movie about a female superhero. There's no love interest. She's not like in love with anybody. She's not driven mad by losing Chris Pine in an airplane explosion. That doesn't drive her as a character. Not that that's relevant to anything. I don't know why I even mentioned that. I don't know. Chris Pine is fine. He's alive. He never died. Never died in a plane crash.
Plane, crane, train, and automobile. Dun dun
This is
dun
going
dun
off the
dun
rails.
dun 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 dun.
All right. Anyways, tune in next week as we will be reviewing Us. Is Us out next week?
Us is out next.
Yeah.
The 22nd.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's a week. We got
What's out next week?
a filler week. I don't rightly know.
5 Feet Apart.
Ooh.
We're not seeing that.
Okay.
We'll figure something out. We're not seeing 5 Feet Apart because I will go to a whatever disease they have ward and pick that shit up myself if I have to watch that. Fuck that movie. It looks terrible.
I saw like a 25-second clip ad on Instagram the other day, and I was just like, I was floored by how terrible the dialogue was. Truly floored.
Yeah, it looks very made for TV.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's kind of like Greta, where it's like this should have been a Lifetime film, but it is a full-on theatrical production.
Exactly. Well, on that note of reviewing a movie we're not going to see, this has been a review of a movie we did see, Captain Marvel. I'm Scott.
I'm Ben.
And thank you, sincerely, for listening. Bye-bye.